Hello, everybody. This is Free to Play Shroom or F2P Shroom here from Eamon 846 again, bringing you part two of the Necro or Supreme Spirit Guide. I had to re-record this, so I'll try to make this more concise this time. But basically, I'll show you what I have done, what I plan to do, and probably what I should have done since this point. So, if we look at rushes first and foremost, we're in Relic Rush. That means we've gone through, the Soul Rush, we've gone through Power Rush, Skill Rush, and Tech Rush, and we're about to enter the second cycle. So you should probably be saving for the second cycle, especially if you are free to play. I've been trying to save, my prayers, I've been trying to save some tech. And more recently, Souls, since that ended sometime last week, I've been saving them since. Um, Pals and skills are kind of more so up to you. The relics and the speed up tickets that you get from these rushes are really nice in the early game, but I wouldn't say that they're, anything super, super necessary. So if you end up skipping the skill rush or the power rush just so that you could chase pals or skills, that might actually end up being one of your better decisions, even though you're not chasing the rush, which you would normally think is always best. So in terms of Relic Rush, I think I did something a little interesting. I leveled things very early. As you see, I have a level 70 Amber Snail. Some of my other things are level like 10, 3. Level here is a 50, level 58 Bless 2. In the Magic Box, level 64. I also know I like to use the Magic Box in the later game, so I've been leveling this. But what should I have done realistically is um saved my relics to search for more relics because as you see, I'm 4 away. Um, it says 26 out of 35. 5 of them are from these middle relics. So if we go to the handbook right here, you'll see all the way down in Spore. Where is it? Yeah, Spore. These are the 5 middle relics that you get after unlocking all of the original relics that were out since the beginning of the game. So I only have 4 missing of those. Important ones, I am missing the Abyss necklace. This one's great for getting Winged Dream to trigger faster, so very good. But for right now, I don't mind the fact that I got clone very early, so I've been using the Storm necklace. Um, the time statue here is really good, so not having it is kind of unfortunate. But since I don't really always use disarm, depending on like the build I'm using, because if I don't do enough damage or whatever it is, it's not the end of the world. It is a really good one, like Time Statue, Cage Statue, Stellar Statue, and then the Crystal Statue are really good. I'd say this Energy Statue is nicer in the early game, but can quickly be replaced by some of these. Um, so yeah, there's definitely some that I'm missing. I don't really care about the blue snowflake as much, but there's definitely some that I'm missing that would be slightly nice. And then the Resistance book, Stone Writ Tomb. This one's honestly not bad for PvE, PvP, and somewhat PvE, but for PvE, you're probably gonna rock a boss damage book, an immunity book, or a healing book. And then at PvP, especially in the early game, you're either going to rock this Flame Book or Stone Writ Tomb. Don't have Stone Writ Tomb, so I go with my Flame Book. So again, what would I have done? Found all the relics and then kept leveling. They'd probably be lower levels, especially the ones I'm not using, like the Magic Box. Um, and all of these are level 3 because I leveled them even for the best base HP attack and defense bonus. But if you instead searched for all of them, that would give you a nicer bonus because each one of them, just having them gives you a bonus, like the passive effect. And then it could have been working into spores, but you live, you learn. I was also antsy and finishing up school, so I wasn't as min-max focused. I apologize. Soul Rush was the last thing that happened, like the last major thing last week. So if you look at my split here, it's a bit interesting. Every day you're going to be wanting to push the Soul Trial as high as you can. I've been a little lazy. I haven't touched it as much. Usually you'll see like a red thing that says like this boss is 100% or 200% or 250% stronger than usual. And that's basically because you're pushing souls so quickly. So I'd say in the early game, like the first day, two that souls come out, you should be able to any player should be really able to complete all of the available levels, even if it says it's like 500% harder. But as those days go on, that's really only when a whale or a spender gets that progress that far. Everyone else kind of hits a wall somewhere, and it really depends on what you have. For me, I don't have the pink skill. I don't have blitz. I don't have the pink pals. My relics aren't finished. My prayer statue isn't amazing. I'm holding onto my tech. So, and my avian isn't amazing. So there's a million things that aren't great, but because of that, I'm kind of stuck, or at least the last time I was stuck. I guess we can click challenge and see if I do anything better this time. Oh my God, we're gonna lose. So it's so sad. Oh no, we increased the HP since last time. Okay, well in the past I used to just get like one tapped. So honestly, enjoyable. I'll push souls again at some point after this episode. But where have I gone in pals and skills? As you see, I dumped all my pals and skills. I'm around level 14 statue. I'm under it by, 3,000 and change here and a lot here. Why did I push skills? I really wanted clone, because as you play archer, that's really good, but I also wanted blitz because in early game PvP, that's kind of a game changer. You blocking all the damage of the first 3 seconds when that's pretty much when the most damage comes out, especially against like a mage. So I really wanted Blitz. I haven't gotten Blitz. If you look at my luck, it's pretty funny. I've gotten level 2 clone, so I really wanted clone. And then it turns out to not be great for Necro because it doesn't really increase your damage too much, but it gives you a nice little shield and it does provide some damage. And then I guess I wanted it so much I got it level 2 instead of getting Blitz level 1. But I also really didn't want Blade Pierce, so beggars can't be choosers at this point. Um, from Showdown, I'm likely to get 100 slashes and Ancestral Will. That's just going to take a little bit of time. I know the first Showdown I kind of missed. Where I signed in, I only had like a few minutes and I didn't have like anywhere near enough gems to get all the tasks done. So um, every weekend you're going to be wanting to do all of these tasks as much as you can. If you could push any of these rankings, it's great. Monster Slayer, some advice. I can't really see the classes, but there's a class that, you know, it has quicker speed. I would choose that one. If you're trying to go for your personal rank, if you're a whale and you're able to hit those light towers, go for it. But most people are just hitting the mobs. So if you are able to hit the players and mobs, go ahead. If you're able to hit the towers, do it. But basically, you just want to hit um, as many A of the yellow currency because that lets you get all of the things here. But then as you scroll down, 2,000 points for 100 slashes, 2,000 points for ancestral will. So those are really the two skills that you're gonna want. Um, and Crimson Moonfall, I'd say it's more of your mage skill. Windborne Arrow is more of your archer skill, even though in the past it was, very useless. So people really didn't want to touch it. And then don't make the mistake down here. It says 400. Yeah, it's cheaper, but these are the shards to upgrade it. If you only buy, the Ancestral Will shard, you won't be able to use the skill because you don't have the skill. You have a shard to upgrade it when you eventually get that skill. Um, Other things worthwhile are these runestone restore potions. These are great, especially in the later game. You're going to be wanting to focus your runes and having great optimization for like PAL damage or res or especially PAL crit damage through these runes. Black potions, I'd say, not the best place to get them from. Maybe you quick start your ring with your gems of love or your awakening scrolls. But right now I'm focused on getting ancestral will. and 100 slashes because I know I'm going to be using those for a while. And then I'm going to work into some of the other buys that I normally do, like my runestone restore potions, maybe some gems of love, depending on how far behind I am. And then I don't always mind the awakening scrolls because they're pretty cheap. Um, let's see. What else has there been? In terms of pals, as you see, I kind of got unlucky. My pals have more or less been exactly the same. Why? My pals haven't changed. So I haven't had any luck in changing what I use. I really want the lizard because I could use the lizard and it'll give me the ability to put it in like this first slot, for instance. I put it in the first slot. My class ability four is gives you, an effect. Instead of me getting the extra attack, which I think is still one of your best at the attack, the PAL attack speed or the PAL crit rate. But if I had the lizard, it would give me the extra damage from his deploy effect. See here, increases PAL damage, increases ignore evasion, so it's PAL ignore evasion, and that's great for um, basically allowing you to not be stopped so early by evasion builds, especially as a Necro. You don't have the built-in full ignore evasion that Tamer class has. So you having it built up to whatever in the background is a pretty nice thing. So if you use the wealthy lizard, you put it in the first slot or the first two slots after you awaken, you'll get the 10% pal crit, and that's kind of what I want to do. What would I replace? It's really going to depend. If I can get away with less sustain, especially in PvE, I might get rid of the deer. Um, if, I see that these cactus maybe might be falling off a little bit, I might get rid of it. But again, 70% combo, I don't know. And I do like the fact of having two cactuses because it gives everything else 10% combo. So everything right now is at 30% combo. Not amazing, but honestly, quite playable. At least in the early game. So yeah, I have all the reds, none of the event pals, and currently hoping that I can get any pinks, but in particular, Wealthy Lizard. Um, Treasure Dragon's definitely not bad either. It has a really high damage multiplier, as you see, but also it's going to increase your skill crit rate. So some people, especially in the early game, are chasing the rush mounts. So if you're chasing, rushes and you end up getting something like the Cloud Drifter, you throw on the Cloud Drifter, you throw on that pink dragon pal, and you throw on this skill crit rate mask, the demon mask, and you get 5% from here. I think it was 24% from your pink dragon as Necro. Yeah, so you're at 29 and then 10% from the cloud. So you're at 39% just without any gear. Throw on maybe one piece of gear, you're above 40, and within your six skills that go off at the start of each battle, it's because you have five equipped and then your one class skill, it's quite likely that at least one of them is going to crit. And then if you look at Cloud Drifter, this is more of a complex thought, I'm sorry, but if you look at Cloud Drifter, it's going to, after skill crits, boost the damage by 20%, your attack stat. So if you have that, 39 or 40% plus skill crit rate in the background, and at least one of your six skills crit, especially in the beginning of the game, the beginning of the match, you're going to have a 10% or 20% damage boost for 5 seconds. Obviously, if you're a mage, this is something you love. If you're not a mage, even in the early game, this could be very, very useful. For instance, an archer, you want the extra crit damage from the pink dragon, but then also it's going to give you the skill crit. So might as well, if you have the cloud drifter and it's all you have, might as well use that and try to get a 20% attack damage bonus at the start of each battle. Other things you might be wanting to look for as Necro, Hot Wheels, I definitely think is a good option. It's cheap. Boosting PAL attack speed by 2% per second is always not a terrible option. Um, your issue is kind of that it doesn't increase the damage as much. Like you're increasing your ability to do your increase damage output, but because of the fact you're not increasing your ability to take damage and you're not really increasing the actual damage of what you're doing, if your damage is poor to begin with and you just try stacking Hot Wheels, your pals might be attacking quickly, but if they do no damage, it's not all that important. So I would say this is a great one if you have the attack and the PAL damage to make it work. Then focusing your PAL attack speed is always a great option, especially in the early game. Otherwise, maybe something like the Adapto Slime, increases attack by 15%, then you gain a shield, and then it reduces damage taken, all based on what your HP percentage is. So this is a great one for something like an Axe Warrior, but can also come into use for any free to play or low spender as a good damage tilt mount that allows you to take more damage, deal more damage, and have a little bit more sustain with that shield and reduce damage. So, other things, obviously, if you're saved long enough, I guess the same as Adapto Slime, but you can get the Ghost behind. This one wouldn't be bad for the early game. Evasion in PvE and in the early game, even in PvP, could be very good. But you're going to be wanting to stack it. So I would say if you're fortunate enough to get the Ghost behind, that's great, and it could push you pretty far in PvE, but it does cost 30, so I have two, and my two are from theater because the rushes are so competitive on this server. So, if we go to theater, more often than not, I'm getting top 50. So if you look at top 50 rewards, that gets you oop, one Skyrider pass. Now there's a chance I might be able to get one from the Pantheon trial that just started. So, if I'm able to get, two a week or whatever, there's a chance that I can get the Hot Wheels or something within a month or so. But we'll have to see exactly which route I end up choosing on. Um, you can, for instance, stack a lot of evasion right now. Like if I go to set two, this is something I usually save with a bunch of evasion. So I have near 50% evasion, and that's really early on. So you finish out all the gears, you throw on the ghost behind, and now you're at 70% or so evasion, and actually a little higher, and you're getting a attack bonus every time you successfully evade, and everyone's ignore evasion is super tiny in the early game. The only downside to using a cheeky strategy like that is mages skills always go through evasion, and then the issue becomes when some classes awaken, like Archer and Tamer, they have complete ignore evasion. So while you might be evading all of their hits regularly, when their class skill activates, they're going to be ignoring even if you had 1,000% evasion. So evasion definitely is a niche use, but early on could be very, very powerful, especially if you're a spender who has the 30 rush tokens. Boom to bing, or boom to bang. Not bad, honestly, at all, but I'd say this is more of like in your later game, especially when you're versing some kind of tank to remove damage res. The stun part is nice, but as Tamer or Necro, you're not really worried about being stunned or yeah, so you're not really worried about you being stunned, but stunning something like an archer isn't bad. And then the scaling attack speed, energy regen speed, and power attack speed are never bad. It's just a little slow. 4% every 10 seconds. So, if you're doing one of these challenges right here, I have, I think, yeah, 40 seconds. If I'm not, I'm only going to be able to get four triggers of that mount. So, something in PvP, you have 2 minutes, so you have you have 12 total triggers for you to get that, um, instead of the four. So definitely much nicer. Star Heroes, again, this is something more RNG. I don't really think you could really help this unless you just whale it and spend a lot of money on it. But what I did get really lucky on is I got this. I got the Spirit Harbinger, which, you could use it as your main to increase the crit rate and the crit damage, or you could put it as the support to increase the combo rate. I've been using it as my active, like in the main, and then In my supports, I've been using this Stoneborn Warrior, like the Rock, which is giving me an extra shield, which for PvP kind of gets broken very quickly. If not instantly, but for PvE, honestly, could usually take a hit or two, so isn't bad at all. Additionally, I use the Chrono Sprite, which is going to stun the target for a half a second whenever the skill goes off. I wouldn't say this is amazing, but I'd say this kind of allows me to not have a disarmed or a dazzled, because if I'm able to, like, I'll notice a lot of times right before I die, the shield from the Star Hero will go off, meaning that the active skill went off, because the shield only goes off when the active skill goes off. So knowing that, that's usually exactly when the person gets stunned. So I usually get a tiny shield, which is nice. But then while I'm getting this shield and I'm, able to sustain a slight bit, I'm able to stun them for a half second and do as much damage as possible. I wouldn't say that this is always likely, but it's definitely something I've noticed far more than I haven't noticed it. Um, Pals, I still think that going for pal attack speed or combo is probably best. Um, I mean, pal crit or pal attack speed is probably best. You could also probably get away with something easy like the Midnight Firefly, the Dragon, if you have some of the other options as well. But personally, I have been using the Puppy Gaze to the best effect. And then in second, from what I noticed, was this Yogurt Champ. I assume it's because my Pal combo and Pal crit rate aren't that well developed. So, it's taking a little bit for its effect to actually increase and get to a point where it's more viable, and then I still have to crit and combo after that for its effects to take place. Whereas the Puppy Gaze is just making your pal attack speed faster. So even if they're not comboing and critting, they're getting to do more attacks in a single trigger. And when no one has Blitz right now, or very few people have it, it's very useful to just try to do as much damage at the start of battle as possible. When people get Blitz, Blitz is 3 seconds, this Puppy Gaze is for 5 seconds, you're only getting 2 seconds of the effect. Then it's less useful. Then something like Yogurt Champion definitely becomes far, far more useful, and that becomes more increasingly so as you have really high PAL crit rate and PAL combo rate. Um, However, Puppy Gaze is never really a bad option, neither with this Smart Assistant if you want something that is scaling PAL attack speed as the time goes on, like a PAL crit regen or a PAL combo regen build. But yeah, super RNG related, just like the star array, and it's really gonna be dependent on what you get. If you can get like loss of control or enhanced go, something that's going to give you pal crit damage, pal damage, boss damage, attack, whatever it is, those are usually going to be your best. If you were a mage, you'd want something like multi-talented, but there's things very similar that are PAL related. So instead of multi-talented, you could have altruism, same boat, or self-sacrifice, increasing your pal crit damage by a good bit. These scale really, really well. So if you're able to get some, an altruism, a same boat, and a self-sacrifice on the same avian, and maybe like no speeding or something else, that would be amazing because you're gonna have an insanely high amount of pal crit damage. However, that's much, much easier said than done again, and it's very RNG related. Also, if you don't have the gear set up, like right now I have only 21% PAL crit damage or PAL crit rate. It doesn't really matter how high my PAL crit damage is. If I'm not consistently hitting it, it's not the wisest to build around. Um, That's why I think right now in the earlier game, PAL attack speed, PAL damage would be your best until you get a very viable PAL crit rate and PAL combo rate, and then it's basically stacking as many triggers of those as possible with as much damage multipliers as possible. So we went over PALs, we went over skills, we went over souls. I forgot to say, besides that, pushing as high as I could each day, I did a very simple split. I basically pushed attack as high as possible, and then I put the last couple level ups into HP and defense. Um, I think I was at like 20 and 3 and 3 and then 25, 5 and 5. So I'm, primarily focused attack. If you see, I got somewhat lucky. I got a basic attack damage, though that's like the worst red soul to get. So I got this. I would have preferred the regular red attack bonus soul. So this is what you want to be leveling. This is terrible. And the rest of them you really don't want to be leveling unless you're using them. And attack is the name of the game in the early game. So I focused attack. You would love to get this as your first red, and then eventually as your first pink. So if you're wondering what the pink souls are, these are the pink souls. How you get them is you need a red soul 1 and a red soul 2. And if you look down here, it'll show you the combos, but also if you go to fusion, it'll use words, which is I find easier. So red HP plus a red regen. The one I'd say you want first is Bloodstained Blade. So red attack and red healing. This is red basic attack, so not what I want. This will give you for skill damage, it's here, I think. Yeah. So red basic attack plus red skill damage will give you wildfire piercer. Personally, I wanted red, like the normal red attack and red healing soul. So where do you get red attack? Where do you get red healing soul? Red attack is something in Red Soul Selector 1. It's basically in the first loot pool. So you can get that from a number of places. You can get that from these soul prayers. You can get that from buying them through the Family Brawl. If we go to Family Brawl, go to Exchange, and then in the Battle Shop, there's the Red Soul Select 1. You can get them through a lot of the events, like this current event that's going on. If we were to go to the repo station and we scroll here, there's the Red Soul Select 1. If you in Family Brawl, if you place high enough, the rewards for personals, Red Soul Select 1. That's actually a good way to show it. It has basic attack, combo, counter damage, crit res, attack damage, defense, and HP. And as you see here, those are the 8 you get at first because you only can get Red Soul Select 1 at first. Now, to get the souls that match, like for here, I need the HP regen, or for the Bloodstained Blade, I need the red healing. So red healing, red regen, all those come from the cross server ranked match. So you're going to go to Arena, the cross swords, go to cross server ranked match, and go to shop. Scroll to the bottom, and in this weekly limit, there's going to be, some different options. The red soul selection 2 is what you want for making pink souls. However, at first, you're going to want to go for these awakening crystals, which I'll explain in a moment. Basically, from the red soul select 2, you can get pal crit damage, skill damage, pal damage, healing boss, healing damage, or healing, healing rate, and healing percent, boss damage, HP regen, skill crit damage, and then boss damage res. So, if you're ever confused on which ones match with which ones, all you have to do is go to your souls, go to fusion, and it'll show you exactly the one that you want to make, explaining what 2 souls you need. But as I said, the order I would probably go is Bloodstained Blade because it's going to turn your attack bonus into a global attack. So global attack bonus is much better than a regular attack bonus. So this is a very large upgrade. And in the early game, attack is everything. The entire game, all your damage output is based on your attack stat. So stacking your attack to a very viable range and having an advantage in your attack early is a huge thing. So I'd say Bloodstained Blade first. Then I'd say, usually people are going to go with Immortal Spirit second to give you the red HP and the um, HP regen. It's the same thing where this HP bonus right here turns into global HP. So that's a very large gain. And because HP is the fastest growing stat, this is going to be a large, large boost in terms of numbers. Um, and then I think after this point, you have a little bit of workability. So, if you want for base stats, which is never a bad idea, you can go for Forgiving Horns, which is going to be defense and boss damage res. Again, taking the red defense boost and turning it into a pink global defense boost. So a much better um, increase to your stats right there. But defense is one of people like one of the least prioritized stats. So I would say some people say, I'm not too worried about defense. Let me worry about this the excellent companion to be able to build my pal damage or the where is it? I think it's Guardian Star. Yeah, Guardian Star to be able to increase my pal crit damage. Um, I think you can go either way. Personally, I'm probably going to go for me, I'm going to see how my defense feels. If I feel that I'm able to kill most people without basically getting stonewalled and dying every single time, um, then I'll probably end up going for the Excellent Companion for the extra pal damage, and then I'll end up going for the Guardian Star. Now, if you're a tamer or if you have really high pal crit rate, the Guardian Star might be something you want to go for first, and then going for the ability for to increase pal damage through Excellent Companion and defense. However, it's really going to come up to how you want to break it down. So, how I'm probably going to do it again is attack, then HP. Then, if I need more defense, I'll go with more defense. But if I don't need more defense, I'll go Excellent Companion for my ability to increase PAL damage, Guardian Star for my ability to increase PAL crit damage. And then it also gives you 10% PAL crit rate, which is really nice. And then. Um, and then I'll probably go for defense and then boss damage, etc. The rest of those are kind of in whatever order you'd want. But yeah, pink souls are something around this level that you want to be looking into. After that, what you'd want to be looking into is for your ability to awaken, you need to get your 6 awakening slots. So as you see at level 110, this opens and you're allowed to use these awakening crystals to unlock seals. So I bought one awakening crystal from the shop, and I'll show you how to do that now. But I wasn't that lucky. You'd hope to get attack seal or, even HP or defense wouldn't be bad, but pal damage seal down here wouldn't be terrible at all. How crit damage you might think's not bad, but this one scales very poorly. So this one honestly isn't that great. But the attack, especially in the PAL damage, or HP wouldn't be bad. And then I'd say crit res bonus, global defense, and PAL crit damage are kind of meh. But I got crit res, beggars can't be choosers, and you'll get all 6 at one point. So I threw all my scrolls into here, and I get a little bit extra crit res. Now, is this the best case? No, not at all. But it's what I got. So how do you get these? You go to the cross swords. So to go to the cross server arena, go to this cross server ranked match and go to shop. Scroll down to the bottom again, and for 2,000 currency is going to be an awakening crystal. You need 6 of these total. Your path and going awakening crystal or red soul selection kind of depends on you if you want to go for pink souls first or the awakening slots. Most people tend to go for awakening slots first and then go for pink souls. Me personally, I went for a mixture. So I went for, the awakening slots that I thought would be good. And then once I got the attack and the ability to increase my damage output and HP, I was like, okay, let me go for pink souls just to try to get as much of an advantage early on as possible with global stats. And that's what I did on my main account and on my alt that's on the same server as my main. And that's how I had the best level of success. Now, you could do any route. It's completely up to you. If you're a spender, you might be getting these red soul selection too from the lucky spinner. You might be getting the awakening crystals from, events in the yeah, I think it's in here. There's a chance to get the crystals from here. So there's definitely ways that you could speed up this process as a spender. But if you're not a spender, it's going to be a little slower. And like I said, it's going to basically be through the cross server ranked match shop. At the bottom, weekly limit, these awakening crystals for your awakening slots, and then the red soul selection too to increase your red soul the pink soul by matching them with the needed red soul 2 to red soul 1. I know, a bit convoluted and complicated, but I promise as you do it once yourself, it gets very simple and you'll have it down like the back of your hand. And then Platinum 5, I really don't find that hard to increase. Most people I end up beating. Um, I guess we'll run in here and slap somebody. Oh my God, all these people are, those are bots. These people aren't good either. So I guess we might not slap anybody because no one's that great. This one's a little stronger than me. Let's see how it goes. Um, I might get slapped up here, fair warning. They have Blitz. I'm terrible. Um, I'm not min-maxed. Just copium, pure excuses. But oh, we won. So, that's honestly delightful to see. I lost. I lost again. Oh my God, 19,000, 19 million. But when it comes to awakening slots and your pink souls, those are really where you're going to want to get them through the arena. And if you're a spender, through the lucky spinner and the events, like the spender events. Um, what else is there? So we went over cross server arena. Parking just opened up. So parking is something that you really going to want to be focusing. I really got to repark my mounts, but I'm a bit lazy. So I'll just do this real quick. But you're going to be wanting to organize with your server who uh, how y'all want to split up parking. Do you want to pay taxes? Is it going to be, everyone nice to each other, everyone rude? And then cross server parking is what just opened up for us. So cross server parking is, one second. Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I fat fingered so hard. Yeah, please kill me. Thank the Lord. Okay. That spot just could take it, didn't it? What just happened? Okay, so um in the cross server spots, you have the ability to plunder other servers. As you see, we're kind of dominating, and we've been doing really well. We have a lot of, let's see if we have any of these spenders showing. Like J Hot and the Crabs and Pickle Rick and everything else. But when it comes to cross server, um, parking spots, this is great areas for you to get a nice bonus as well. If you get rewards based on your server ranking, your plunder ranking, and your guard ranking. If you really want to min max, you're going to be wanting to obviously get the first of the server, but you're going to be wanting to push as high as you can as individual plundering and guarding. Um, because the lamps here, the more so the decorations, but the lamps in the early game are really nice, and the gems are definitely not bad at all. Um, right now I'm saving for Tech Rush. In the next Tech Rush, I plan to go right side for the blue. Those are always your quicker upgrades for, making yourself have a higher ability for resource acquisition or, um, upgrades versus the left side, which is like, I guess, an orange color. I'm colorblind, I apologize, but that is, or gray, I don't know. Stats. So what I was going to do is go right side, go for offline earnings, offline earning time, and then go back up to here, get one level of my base HP, stack base attack damage for 10, stack base defense for 10. Why? To unlock Shroom Art of War. I don't really care about the extra skill damage. I mean, it's nice, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm more so worried about down here. You have the ability to increase base attack by the most per upgrade. So as you see here, it's only 1.2k base attack per upgrade. Down here, it's 1.5 base attack per upgrade. So trying to get down here and upgrade these as quick as possible is great for trying to have every tech upgrade give you the most amount of bonus possible. These ones typically tend to be what you end up saving for rushes. So people usually end up leveling these down here and they save these for rushes because these will end up costing more but taking less time. So, you could use more ore but use less speed up tokens, which is something in the later game most people have. a lot of ore, but no speed up tokens. So by the time, they're trying to upgrade the things down here, if they have to use 40,000 or more speed up tokens, usually more, then you're going to be dipping into pink gems, which can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So again, I'm going blue side, then I'm coming back here, getting my 1 level here, my 10 levels here, taking Shroom Art of War, and then just stacking Shroom Tech Hub. I've gotten away without leveling up the fungal strain cultivation. Um, and I think you can as well. I've kind of just been saving for Rush because I mean it's a nice little HP boost, but I feel like it's not as necessary right now. Sure, I get stuck every once in a while, but I'm not too concerned. Um, and yeah, I'll get some of these red dots. I'm sure they upset some of you. In terms of your partner, here's what I think is best. Obviously, you get your partner to 5,000. I did that. My partner isn't super active, rather inactive, doesn't give me no milk teas per day, hates me. So let's slap him up here for the extra affinity. But I've been trying to stack up our affinity between the two of us because of the fact that at 5,000 affinity, you get the ability to marry. So I married him for the 15,000 gems, and that gets you 66 of milk teas and 66 gemstones. Um, Now I would have used the milk teas back onto him, obviously, but because he's not super active, what I did is I tried to fill out cordial of as many people as I could. So, I mean, I wasted some of these by accident, but I got like 7 people or 8 people or so in addition to my partner as cordial. And each one of those gives you a nice little, gift box here with 50 PAL tickets and 50 skill tickets. So I got like 350 or so or 400 extra tickets just from getting cordial with those 8 folks. And then I still have more set up. Additionally, it gives you the love stones. So those are used for increasing your ring. Great in the early game. You really want to push this to level 51 so you can get the extra effect, which is increased PAL base crit damage and increased PAL ignore evasion. So this is a great one to get early on, and as you level it from love to devotion to union hearts, which is every like 50 levels, this extra effect is going to increase, as well as every single level the HP bonus is going to increase. So definitely the ring and your partner as the PAL class, but honestly, as any class, is something you want to be focusing on for the extra stats, but then also, especially as Tamer for or Necro for the extra stats, the extra effects, my bad. Um, the last thing I could really think of is Dark Trials has been out for a little bit. You're going to be wanting to get your in the parking shop. There's these bonuses, so you're going to be wanting to buy your 3 express minings per week, your 3 bountiful harvest if you want per week, which I think is great. Even if you're not getting all 90 of these fruits as rainbows, if you're getting most or half or a majority, even just some, it's going to be great. And it's going to be much more an advantage than someone who doesn't buy any of these. So I would definitely recommend getting your Bountiful Harvest early. Your Express Mine Pass should be something that's just really easy. You buy it at the start of each week and kind of forget about it. I forgot to do that so far, so I'll do that. And then the Dark Trials card to be able to reset the Dark Trials. Besides that, I would say trying to push your lot to have the highest level parking coin bonus and adventure reward bonus as possible is best. Obviously, um, the quicker you can get those up, the better. Adventure rewards is really nice because you really want the triggers of like so if I were to put something here of hammers or a red pal, but you having the bonus boost for the coins is going to allow you to buy all of the decorations much easier, which lets you have a maxed out parking lot much easier, which allows you to get maximal rewards far more commonly. For instance, on my main, I'm pretty sure it's like 210 parking bonus, a 50 2 or 57% XP bonus, and then like a 40% of the adventure reward bonus. Yeah, 40% adventure reward bonus. So, you know, light and day different. It's better than is almost better than the cross server spots, besides the remodel XP and the awakening spots. I mean, the adventure reward. And then the server spot is it's definitely much better than the server spot, but these public server spots become, I'd say, less useful as time goes on. Early game, because no one has any decorations, I would be spamming out at least one mount always in the public lots. Um, did I park all my mounts? Didn't- But did I? Okay. So, um, what's next is, I think that's more or less everything. I'm kind of waiting for the next rush cycle. Like I said, I want to get the pink pals. I'm hoping that I finish out my pink skills. And then I'm hoping that my avian luck and my star ray luck increase a little bit. I'll finish out my relics. Prayers, I'm waiting for the upcoming rush. I want to compare like the highest rarity I could have of pal damage versus all attack. So right now, as you see, I use kind of a mixture. This was more or less just lucky. On the first rush, I was spamming out, and this is more or less what I finished with. But for the next one, I want to be able to compare a full prayer statue of pal damage versus a full prayer statue of attack, like global attack. And the last thing that I actually just thought about is these flame temples. So flame temple is the ability to get artifact runes. So artifact runes are great in the early game. I have a really wonky setup right now, if you're wondering. Um, so I basically just tried to get whatever I could in the top right to be the highest rarity of PAL damage. I was unlucky, but I did get something with PAL damage. That's better than nothing with PAL damage. I got, the lowest rarity of PAL damage, but I basically just um salvaged all my non-used runes and put it into this one up here for my damage output. The rest of them I'd say are kind of more up to you. The higher rarity, the better. I'd say the set bonus is not really something you want to worry about, but this is kind of what I did, and a little bit more bizarre. For the top right, I went for pal damage, and I just tried to level it as high as I could, but below level 10 to 12, since after that you lose a decent amount of material if you salvage a level 12 or 14 or 15 or, God forbid, level 20 rune. Um, in these slots, up here, HP and attack, I think are great things to level up as well. In the early game, attack, HP, and your damage output are the name of the game, primarily damage output and attack, but HP never hurts. Defense, because we're so early, I would say it's really not as impactful. I mean, obviously, if you super stack defense, you're going to be a brick wall, but more people are stacking attack because it allows you to push through PvE faster, allowing you to level up faster, etc. So I kept level one, and level one. Now, for this middle right here, you're probably going to want either basic attack damage res, if you're going to be going against PvE, or if you're focusing on PvP, like most people are, it's going to be a combo damage res, a counter damage res. Um, it could even be a pal damage res, but I would say less likely, more combo usually, and then some people go with counter because Axe Warrior could do a lot of damage. Then, bottom right, I think is if you get lucky. If you can get lucky and get boss damage, that's great. I didn't. I only got boss damage res, but I did get it with the set bonus, so I was using this. I would say while my rune rarity, like the colors of these, aren't great, the set bonuses weren't bad because of the fact I was able to get four of these common foes. I used all four of those and just tried to stack as much pal damage, and then I put, the remaining resources I had into attack. Now, You could go with this also. You can go with a higher level, like a higher rarity rune. So I have like a yellow one here, or orange, whatever that is, and then I have the same thing here. I could be using that, and it definitely wouldn't be a bad thought. But having the extra global pal damage, as personally I'm lazy and I just want to stack as much pal damage and attack as possible, this seems like something I could be a little bit more lazy with. As I get, higher rarity and sub enchantments I want, I'll change it out. And I would say the set bonus is something you usually don't worry about till the later game, but I definitely had this is what I've had the most success with rather than just trying to have slightly higher level of, HP or attack here. Like if I changed this for this, I was having better effect just having the global PAL damage at 10%. And I'm sure the global basic attack damage at 5%, just because in the early game, basic attack damage can be actually a decent chunk of your damage if you're not an archer or warrior. But yeah, that's kind of where I went with. In the future, you're gonna want to go for, some of these sub enchantments. Evasion is great. Pal damage is great. Let's see, go to filter here. I'll show you right here. So pal crit damage is great. Evasion is great. People like stun. Some people like launch. I would say any of your resistances in the later game are great. And then pal damage, pal crit damage. If you want to stun, evasion, or launch build, those are also great. Anything else starts to have, I'd say, like diminishing returns. You don't really want global counter damage on your runes if you're a tamer and you're not using counter. But and the healing amount and things of that nature aren't really super, super beneficial or impactful. But early on, I'd say it's really just about trying to get the highest rarity you can, level them up, hopefully get a little lucky with maybe a set bonus like I did, or get lucky with maybe some of these sub enchantments. And I would say for right now, just try stacking up as many of these like potions up here as possible. So if we look at the, oh, one second, if we look at the potions, um, you have these green ones and like the red ones or whatever. The green are the restore. So after you get something that you don't like, you could basically throw it away and you go down one single level because it lets you like increase it. Every 4 levels, you'll get an increase to one of these sub enchantments. So as you see here, I think both of them were on skill damage res. I think it had nothing. And then at level 4, I got a gray skill damage res, and then at level 8, I got a blue skill damage res. So if I were to reset it, then at level 8, instead of having this blue skill damage res, I would have had a lower quality of it, so I'd have less percentage of it, but it would be level 7, and it would give me one more opportunity to try it again because there's a bunch of sub enchantments on there. So I would say for right now, save the green potion. Some people call it the green Gatorade, the rune store restore potion, whatever you want to call it. Save those, save the red ones as well. And I wouldn't level anything above level 10 to 12-ish until you kind of have reds and obviously pinks, but things that are going to be more long term. Right now, you could be changing these runes out daily, and if you are leveling it up to level 20 and then salvaging it and then getting a new one and leveling that up to 20 and then salvaging it, you're going to be wasting so, so, so much. Um, And yeah, I realized with Avian, I didn't point out there are these achievements which are great for trying to push um extra of these Yuki fruits, but then also it'll give you these reversal potions. So if you're a person that likes to have different avians for PvE versus PvP, maybe versus different classes, and you want to test the differences and you don't want to waste your Yuki fruit because every time you reset an avian without one of them, you like if you use pink gems instead of a reversal potion, you lose a percentage of your Yuki fruit. So these reversal potions are something that are going to be very, very beneficial to stack and have a good amount of the reversal potions for whenever you want to change avians or test against two different avians, having a PvP versus a PvE avian, etc., etc. But yeah, I think that's everything. I mean, I can't really think of anything else. You know, you have Pantheon, obviously, but we're so early, and I haven't really touched it yet. I figured that I would try playing with it this weekend and figuring out what I could do, and then talking about it in next week's update. Um, but I don't really know, like, looking at 710 is really not that great. I mean, I figure I'll probably be much, much lower, probably like 300 or something, 400, because like I'm really not that strong, but we'll have to see how it goes with the Pantheon trial. I'd say that's more something that's going to be, since it was a newer event added, I'd say it's something that's going to be a long-term develop, and you're going to worry about that later on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. If this has helped you, um, at level 120, you're going to have the ability to yeah, level 120, you're gonna have, and all the awakenings slots, you're gonna have the ability to fully awaken. Um, Sorry, I got a text about something. And then at when you have all these slots, you're gonna have basically an increase. You're gonna have evolve. You're gonna go from the Necro Master to the Supreme Spirit, and that's gonna take class ability 4 from um your first pal to your first two pals, and then it's also going to um change your active skills. You go from the Whip of Imprisonment, and then you go to Wilting Souls, which basically gets you this HP based damage on PAL basic attacks and PAL combos. But yeah, I think that's been everything. If this has helped you so far, please let me know. If this, if you have any questions about anything